What's up everybody, Rebel here, and there's no better feeling than a nostalgia high. And there's no worse feeling than coming down from a nostalgia high. So in order to avoid coming down from playing the Crash Insane trilogy and thoroughly enjoying Crash 4, It's About Time, I think it's time we put down the soft stuff and move on to the hard stuff.
A few moments later.
Oh my god, wow, it's so beautiful. Oh my god, the layout is amazing. Oh my god, the dragons. Oh my god, the dragons.
6 hours later.
Need more Spyro. Need more Spyro.
He is ugly. Ugly?
Back in the 90s, Mario and Sonic were all the rage, and Sony needed a mascot of their own to compete. However, they left it up to developers to create one, and thus Crash Bandicoot was born. But basically every new 3D platformer after that essentially created the same 90s style mascot character. And in fall of 1998, Spyro the Dragon was released. And although the main goal wasn't a new PlayStation mascot, that's essentially what was created, as Spyro became a household name. Created by Insomniac Games, which just like Crash's Naughty Dog went on to create a bunch of amazing games following their first success. However, Spyro wasn't Insomniac's first game. It was actually a first-person shooter disruptor. Naughty Dog suggested a family-friendly game to hit a larger audience, and Insomniac Games succeeded. Good lord, did they succeed. And following Naughty Dog with their trilogy and giving up licensing rights, Spyro did the same, and a bunch of, for lack of a better word, mediocre titles flooded the market. I mean, some of the handheld games were good. Yeah, I don't know. And in 2011, Skylanders was created as a Spyro reboot, and it was pretty bad. Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions both put a bunch of work in on that franchise, so it was very interesting when it was announced in 2016 that Vicarious Visions would be remaking the original Crash trilogy. And even more interesting when in 2018 it was announced that Toys for Bob would be remaking the original Spyro trilogy. And wow, just wow. Toys for Bob also just released Crash 4, a sequel to the Insane trilogy, so Spyro 4 is next on the list. Or at least it better be, I swear to Christ.
You gotta believe!
And of course I'll be playing the Reignited trilogy of the game, and I do want to note that this was my first game I owned on my PlayStation as a kid and my favorite franchise growing up. But despite that, I'll be completely unbiased. Wait, what? Yeah, there's no way that's happening. Loving something as a kid gives you all these feels once you're an adult. Some things may not hold up, but Spyro is not one of those things. Yes, 3D platforming collectathons aren't as big now as they were in the 90s, but Spyro was it, man. I mean, other games were fine too, and if someone liked another game more than Spyro, that was fine. I, at least, knew they were wrong. The levels, the gliding, the fire, the puzzles, the gems, the 3D, the soundtrack, ho 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 ho, the soundtrack. This game is amazing. And the first 3 Spyro games molded and shaped my childhood, touching me until CPS came and said it was no longer safe for me to remain in the same household. And that's my history with Spyro the Dragon. You know, I always thought the games got progressively better between 1, 2, and 3, but that might have changed with the Reignited trilogy. So let's find out and charge right into Spyro the Dragon. So the adventure begins with some dragons being interviewed, the boom mic clearly in frame. The interviewer brings up Gnasty Gnorc, love the pronunciation of the G's there. The dragon calling Gnasty stupid, no threat, and ugly. I do love that Gnasty is now watching this interview live on TV, as opposed to just sort of hearing it somehow from the same exact spot he's in when you first confront him at the very end of the game. Well, after being called ugly, he uses magic to seal all of the dragons in crystal. All except one, Spyro. And it's kind of unclear why Spyro wasn't frozen in crystal. I think it might have something to do with his age, being that every dragon you rescue is a full-grown dragon, but it never really explains why Spyro's the only young dragon. So you start in the first hub world, Artisans, and right away, this game is so beautiful. When I first played the Reignited trilogy, I was just blown away here. I did just mosey around looking at stuff, but I think it might have been one of the only times I did, as the game is just so much fun I can't sit still while playing it. And from this hub world, you can already start doing what you'll be doing the whole game. Rescue dragons encased in crystal, destroy Gnasty Gnorc's minions that he created from stolen dragon treasure, as well as gathering dragon gems scattered across the world. And these will be sitting around in the open or in either flammable or metal gem chests that will glow red when flamed, and only break when charged. I do like the design of putting the metal chests really close to the edges. There are a couple of other unique chests, one that you can flame and has fireworks and a gem come out after, a circular one that has a fan on top. Flaming it 3 times will cause the spinning thing to explode off or something, I don't know. And another chest that you have to flame the chest and a gem will shoot out from the top and you have to jump over it and grab the gem before it falls back in. And for some reason that I cannot comprehend, there's actually one of these chests that has a red gem in it. A friggin' red gem. You know, the one that's value is 1? Yeah, I got nothing. There are 3 main levels available right from the start, as well as a usually hidden flying level. There's also a boss level, however in the first world you do need to free a couple of dragons beforehand. The main levels in the game will either be open-ended, allowing for plenty of exploration, and more linear levels, usually with more enemies packed in tight corridors. And even the more linear levels will have secret routes and areas to reward exploration, either with a dragon to rescue along with a couple gems, a chest or 2 with high value gems, and sometimes a key that will work on a special locked chest somewhere else in the level. The locked chest usually being in a more open area, while the key is usually more hidden. And lastly, there are the egg thieves, blue wrapped floating smiles that have stolen dragon eggs. And these guys are fast, usually being somewhat hard to charge into due to their speed, so I just tend to try to get close enough to flame them. Usually works fine. And as for the collectibles in Spyro the Dragon, yeah, that's pretty much it. The dragons, the gems, the dragon eggs. The dragon eggs and the gems haven't really changed in the Reignited trilogy, but the dragons, oh, the dragons. They're awesome. Yes, Toys for Bob went above and beyond with the dragons here. They do have basically the same amazing lines.
We've known,
You've known...
I forget.
The fuck? But their designs are simply awesome. In the original, they shared a body from a pool of about 3 and were just different colors. Here, they're all so unique and loosely based on the theme of the dragon world that they're in. And this is made blatantly clear in Nasty's Nexus when all the dragons you rescue are from other worlds. I can't even name a favorite because they're all so amazing. A few dragons did have their lines changed to apply menu stuff from the Reignited trilogy, and I guess to stay true to the original, kept 13 dragons that all say exactly the same thing.
Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing Spyro.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. So every dragon is sealed in crystal, and it's up to Spyro to glide across the 5 dragon realms to save them. And being a dragon, he's got, you know, the horns, the wings, the fire, but being a child, he's similar to all children in that he's incredibly incompetent. Yes, Spyro has horns, but he can only successfully charge enemies his own size, meaning that Spyro will just bounce off of any enemy bigger than he is. Unluckily for the big guys, they do burn like everything else, so flaming these guys will take care of them when your charge won't. And to keep things interesting, about half the enemies your size or smaller will have metal shielding them, protecting them from your flames while their shield glows red. And to help keep you alive against these enemies is Sparks the Dragonfly. He's gold or yellow when you're at full health, blue after he's taken 1 hit, green after another hit, and then he'll just disappear, leaving Spyro by himself. And you could heal by finding sheep or other small critters in the level. Killing these poor defenseless animals will somehow create a butterfly, and Sparks will chase it and eat that butterfly and go up a color. Oh my god, wait. Dragons? Dragonflies? Butterflies? Wait, eggs? I've got it. A balanced breakfast. Sparks will also get gems for you. Usually. Unless he's gone, of course, then you'll have to get each gem yourself. They did add the ability to have Sparks point to the gems you're missing, thank god, because that was missing in the first game. However, you do have this ability from the very start, something I don't mind because I've beat these games countless times, but something I do think could be unlocked later in the game. There was one point where I was missing a gem and Sparks couldn't find it, turns out it disappeared and I had to leave and re-enter the level and it was just in the middle of a walkway. But besides that, Sparks' main thing is keeping you safe from all the enemies you'll come across, and a few bosses. And I am using the term bosses in the loosest sense of the word. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was about platformers from the late 90s, but while they almost always succeeded in being a platformer, they usually had very lackluster bosses, and Spyro the Dragon is no exception. However, the folks at Insomniac had the great idea of creating a smaller level similar to the main levels, and have the boss at the end of that. And with the exception of Toasty and the final boss, it does make otherwise boring bosses feel a little more enjoyable. Yeah, as it just feels like you're playing another level. And then you have the flying stage, stages. Probably my least favorite part about the first Spyro game. It is pretty cool to fly, and these parts aren't bad. I just like everything else this game has to offer more. You'll fly around through rings or arches, and flame some other things specific to the stage, chests, lighthouses, and other things like that. If you hit a wall or anything too close to the water, you'll fall in. There is a resume flying animation, but it takes like half a second and you'll just fall into the water. These levels are okay though. Not as bad as Crash on a motorcycle. So that's basically the majority of Spyro the Dragon. You go to different dragon worlds and levels and rescue dragons and collect gems and get dragon eggs and fight off enemies and bosses. But here is where Spyro does something pretty unique, something that I think was actually a good choice for a younger audience. The progression. To progress from one world to another, you'll need to gather a certain number of the collectibles, and the dragons in that realm will tell you which is more important to progress. To get to Peacekeepers from Artisans, you'll need to free 10 dragons. To get from Peacekeepers to Magic Crafters, you'll need 1,200 gems. Peacemakers requires 5 eggs, Dreamweavers requires 50 dragons, and you'll need 6,000 gems to get into Nork Nexus, meaning you don't even need to play all of the levels available to progress to the next world. In fact, I got to Magic Crafters and left to Peacemakers because I already saved enough dragon eggs, which I think is a unique way of progression. And once you progress to Nasty's world, this is the first time you'll actually have to beat the first level to unlock the second level, and the second level to unlock Nasty himself. And Nasty's fight is pretty bad. You chase 2 egg thieves with keys, and then you chase Nasty. I'll admit the second time you chase him was always fun as a kid, trying to make it to the platforms as they retracted into the walls. Yeah. Once you beat Nasty, Spyro flies back to the interview and says he still has some treasure to collect, and returning to the Nork Nexus after getting every single dragon gem and egg will unlock Nasty's loot. Nasty's glute. A level that you can actually fly around. And man, is there a lot of treasure here. Almost every gem is the yellow gem worth 10 or the purple gem worth 25. And beating this, we'll play a new cutscene, one that shows Spyro at night with sunglasses, that makes sense, and 2 dragons in the background getting turned back into crystal. Which doesn't make any sense at all. Nasty's not back, and I mean, there aren't even any dragons at all in the second game. Except Spyro. But I'm not complaining though. The story in 2 is great, and it's much better than just reusing the same villain over and 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 over. And then the credits play, and I was so excited when I beat this game and was ready for the credits to play over an overview of each level. It was always my favorite part of beating the games as a kid. Instead, in the Reignited trilogy, it's just... Happiness is a lie. Yeah, for some reason, they got rid of the overview of the levels for a black screen with some concept art. And the concept art is cool, but my god, seeing all the levels you just played through was just so awesome. I mean, the levels are one of the few things that make this game so amazing. How some levels can be completely open-ended, providing for more exploration, and the linear levels still intertwine around themselves in pretty remarkable ways. And the point of the levels aren't just to make it from the start to the end. It's to explore every square inch of the level, discovering all of its secrets, and it's so good. And I cannot express this enough. Spyro's level layout to me is the epitome of platformer collectathons. This right here is the gold standard. And then you have the level themes, the second of the few things that make Spyro so amazing. These levels are so beautiful, even in the original games. The way they handled skyboxes was brilliant. But I'm a layman when it comes to game developing, so I'm not even going to bother explaining what they did. But it was beautiful then, and it's beautiful now that it's been completely reimagined. The first homeworld, Artisans, is pretty homely, but captivating nonetheless. The dragons here being more, you know, artisan in theme. Dark Hollow is redesigned as a library, which is awesome. Peacekeepers is more desert themed, with each level there sharing an overarching theme, while all being somewhat different. I will say Ice Cavern is not really close to the desert theme, but it still works here. The dragons here being more warrior-esque. The third world, Magic Crafters, is more whimsical, being up in the mountaintops. The dragons here being, well, more magic themed. Beast Makers is basically swamp themed. The dragons here fitting very well. And lastly, Dreamweavers, which was always a little similar to Magic Crafters to me, but with more of a fairy tale twist to it. But all these level themes are so amazing and so well designed, especially when combined with the level layouts, and even more so when combined with the amazingly awesome amazingness that is... Is that all? I could have sworn I had more to talk about. Well, we're gonna be here a while. Oh my good golly gosh, this soundtrack is insane. Composed by Stuart Copeland, yes, the Stuart Copeland, the drummer of the Police, yes, the Police. And this soundtrack is amazing. He did an amazing job here. Also, there is a pretty cool interview with him while he shows the process for making the songs for Spyro in an old PlayStation Underground. And he actually came back for the Reignited trilogy to work on freshening up all of his tracks as well as creating a brand new title song for the game. And if you're asking what makes this soundtrack so great, well, I don't know, man. Have you even listened to it? It's layered so well with every instrument fitting perfectly with the others. The dreamy and adventurous nature of the melodies, the amazing drums, obviously. Now, yes, the songs can kind of sound similar to each other, and using the same melodies throughout a few songs is noticeable, but it doesn't take away from how wonderful this soundtrack is. I do love this soundtrack, so I might come back and discuss all 3 games in one video, and like I said, Stuart Copeland returned to remaster all of the old tracks, as well as the addition of dynamic music. Charging will create a drum rhythm, sitting still will filter down the music, and so on. It's awesome, but I prefer it off. In fact, I actually kind of prefer the original music in general. It's more... well, it's more grainy. The remastered music sounds much more crisp, but also somewhat softer. It almost loses a little of itself. It's still great though, don't get me wrong. And there's actually a couple of other things the Reignited trilogy added along with the revamped music. There's skill points to unlock by completing little things in a few levels, and doing this will unlock an art book. Pretty cool. There's also the fact that Tom Kenny, aka SpongeBob Me Bob, not only reprised his role as Spyro for 2 and 3, but also redid Spyro for the first game, which is great because Carlos Alizvaki was just too... yuck. Then you have the fact that in Twilight Harbor, they turned these scary Norks with guns and grenades into scary Norks with paintball guns. Right. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why they chose to censor the guns in this level. I mean, Pinstripe got to keep his gun in Crash Insane trilogy, but maybe it has something to do with its guns and children are impressionable. But then what kind of message does it teach kids to go around setting sheep and lizards on fire? That you're gonna create butterflies? Because that's terrifying. And that's Spyro the Dragon. It is simply an amazing game and was my favorite game on PlayStation. Until Spyro 2 came out. But after replaying this game, I do have to say I am a big fan of the progression system. Also, part of me kind of likes the fact that there are no real NPCs in the game. I mean, they are adorable in 2 and 3, but part of me just feels like they might be a little too abundant. So having none is pretty interesting. As for if Spyro 1 is my favorite of the 3, well, I feel like I'm gonna have to finish playing 2 and 3 first to know for sure. Need more Spyro. That's gonna wrap this one up, everybody. Thanks a bunch for watching. I am very excited to be starting Spyro the Dragon. Got the retrospective wrapped up right here. Got the level rankings in the work. Probably gonna have the retrospective of Spyro 2 starting very soon, as long with level rankings of those. Probably will be ranking some of the orbs as well before moving on to Spyro 3 and taking care of everything in that game as well. Yeah, actually, it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm eating breakfast, so that's cool. But yes, got a lot of Spyro coming in 2021 because I am hoping and I am praying that they're going to be announcing Spyro 4 coming hopefully holiday at the end of this year, maybe early fall if we're lucky. If we're unlucky, maybe 2022. But hopefully we'll get an announcement for a new Spyro sometime this year, so I just wanted to tackle all the Spyro games as well. And it's going to wrap it up for this one, so thanks a bunch for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share, comment, notify, all that good stuff. And until next time, peace.